Hi, my name is Seth. Welcome back to the channel where we like to make lists and rate things. Today we're going to be talking about the DCEU. Some people call it the Snyderverse. It's really that part of the DC movie universe that we are kind of moving away from. With Shazam Fury of the Gods coming out this weekend, I thought this would be a great time to kind of rate the DCEU's superheroes. Now, I am going to be kind of lenient on what I'm calling a superhero today. If you are on the Suicide Squad, I know usually you're a bad guy, but you're in the group that's in the title of the movie, and so I'm going to count you on this list. It's not what I would agree with on who is a hero, but protagonists. Just throwing a big spoiler warning out here. I'm probably going to spoil things from all of these movies that are out so far, so just be warned. Going to kind of be going in order of appearance, so let's get started. Number one's going to be Superman. I got to put him in S tier. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I think that he is just a good dude, and it comes across in how he portrays this character. I just like getting to see him actually use his powers and everything, even though he's a little, let's say not careful there while he's punching people around. But, you can explain that away in a lot of different ways. I really like him. I'm bummed out he's not going to be continuing on. I'm still excited about what's coming up next. But, he's one in that S tier for sure. Next up, we have Batman. I like Ben Affleck's Batman a lot more after I watched the Snyder Cut of Justice League. I think that he did a good job really kind of rounding out his character, really kind of showing that the version of him that was around in Batman v Superman was, a really bummed out version of Batman and not like just exactly how he was all the time. It really was meant to be a version of him that had kind of been broken down. And then, he beats Superman and it kind of lifts him back up and he starts being a good version of himself again. And so I really liked getting to see that a lot more than I expected to, actually. And so it's not quite enough where I'm going to be putting Batman into S tier, which feels bad. I'm sure I'm going to hear a lot about that in the comments, but he's going to be an A tier for me. Wonder Woman is next up, and she is great as well. She has got an awesome musical theme. I didn't even mention Superman's theme when I was talking about him. I love the score for Man of Steel. Like Hans Zimmer's stuff there is just so good. And the Wonder Woman theme that is introduced in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice is also a lot of fun. It just makes her a fun character to see. Gal Gadot does a good job, I think, with the character. Like she seems stoic and everything, which is really what they seem to be going for. I can't get her up into S tier just because of that last Wonder Woman movie. It really didn't work for me. So yeah, I think I got to leave her down in A tier. So now here we are talking about some of the Suicide Squad. We got Deadshot next. Here's Will Smith. Gosh, I was really kind of waffling on where this guy should end up. I think he's going to be in C tier. He's a good enough protagonist. But like, as far as like a bad guy goes, it's like, do I really buy him as like a killer and everything? I don't know. Will Smith just doesn't really ooze that. At least he didn't at the time. Maybe a little bit more now. Maybe nowadays it's a little more realistic that he could be playing, Deadshot. So, but yeah, I think C tier for him. I don't have much to say. He's kind of meh. Then we got Harley Quinn, like maybe the character who has the most screen time of anybody who's not one of the big three. I'm going to put Harley in A. I don't know if that's controversial or not. I like the way that she's portrayed and how she kind of grows throughout the series. I definitely don't want to go any higher than A because she definitely is still annoying at times, but being annoying is part of Harley's character. So it's kind of like, is that bad? And really, like, Margot Robbie's perfect casting in there. And so, yeah, she's A tier. Rick Flag, if we were just going off the original Suicide Squad, he would be pretty low. But I really, really like what they did with this character in the Suicide Squad. He seems actually like cool and like an actual, kind of smart, like military dude who should be in charge of these people and doing the things that he's doing. I really liked how they were building him up and everything. It's kind of a real shame that he is dead now, but I still really like what they did with him, and I think that his death actually went on to really cause some big things later on with some characters we'll talk about in a little bit, and so yeah, I think B is a great place for Rick Flag to end up, not where I would have thought back when things got started. With Captain Boomerang, I'm torn. I don't want to go low with him because I think that he's entertaining to watch and one of the best parts of the first Suicide Squad movie. And he gets a great exit from the second Suicide Squad movie. but he's not really a round ton in it. He also doesn't do anything that really feels like I want to push him up higher. And so I think I'm going to just keep him at C tier, right there in the middle. He would be the upper part of C tier, like closer to B, but I don't want to go any higher than that. Then we have El Diablo. I'm going to put him in D tier. He doesn't do a ton of talking. He just kind of is there to like to be the big hulking dude who's going to fight the demon guy at the end of the first Suicide Squad. Can you tell it's been a little while since I've seen the first Suicide Squad movie? But you know, he does have a little bit of, you know, character in there, the sadness of his backstory and everything. It keeps him out of F tier for sure. So D tier is where he will be. Now, Killer Croc is a character that I really like. I like him in the comics when he's like super reptilian and everything like that. I like him in the animated series where he's just kind of like more of like a strong man guy who kind of looks like a crocodile and has like messed up skin. This version of him is kind of like that in between. He definitely doesn't have much of a character, and it just feels kind of like, again, we need like a strong guy. He just doesn't do anything for me, so he's going to be D tier. It really feels like wasted potential more than anything. I hope we get to see another Killer Croc in a Batman movie sometime soon. Here's one that hopefully we can all agree on, right? These things don't happen very often, but maybe here. Slipknot from this first Suicide Squad movie. I'm putting him in F tier. If he's not in F tier for you, please let me know why. I'm happy to hear your reasoning. This guy has like no character description even. Like the movie doesn't even bother to really introduce him. They're like, oh, and this is Slipknot. He can do rope stuff. And then immediately he tries to run away just to show like, hey, they will blow your head up if you don't follow the rules. You know, he can't go any higher. F tier. Katana is another one. She's got a magic sword, right? So like she's got a cool look. She doesn't really do anything that knocks her down, but she doesn't really do anything that really elevates her either. And so I think I'm going to be putting her in C tier just because, you know, she's almost like a non-entity. And so, yeah. Now we're finally back to some actual full-blown heroes, right? So we got the Flash here. And I wish I could put the Flash higher, but Barry is just kind of annoying, right? Like when I was watching the Snyder Cut and everything, it's like, oh gosh, like this guy is a lot. And like, I can understand if you're trying to be like, oh, he's a teenager, right? The ways that he's annoying, like you could, sure, that can make sense. But this guy's like in college. I'm like, ugh. I don't know. And it doesn't seem like he really has to worry about getting any better with his powers either. Like he's running the speed of light in the first movie and everything. So like, how do you get better than that? Like, I don't know, maybe the new Flash movie will pull him up out of B tier. That's definitely a possibility. But as for right now, B tier is where I'm going to be putting the Flash. And that makes me sad. Like, don't think that that's something I'm excited about. I love the Flash. Then we got Jason Momoa's Aquaman, and what a like weird casting, right? When you see it and hear about it at first, but then it's just like a perfect version of the character. It's a lot of fun to watch. He's a lot of fun. His character is like not, I mean, like most things in the DCEU, not really nailed down. In the Justice League, he's a lot different than he is in the Aquaman movie, but I do find myself enjoying both versions of him, and so I'm going to be putting him in the A tier. I am excited for the second Aquaman. I've been hearing it hasn't been testing well, so hopefully it will be good, but we'll just have to wait and see. And then the last member of the actual Justice League, Cyborg, right? Victor Stone. He's going to be in B tier also. If it was just the theatrical version of Justice League, he probably would have been lower, but he actually gets a ton to do in that Zack Snyder cut, right? And I really enjoyed it, and he gets to be smart and do cool technology things. And I like that in the Justice League, that Snyder cut version of it, that everybody has their powers set and is doing things that are like, you know, tying into the story. So that's pretty cool to like see him be able to do all of those kind of things. But again, nothing for me that is going to kind of bring him up out of B tier. I could definitely understand him hitting harder for some people, but for me, it wasn't there. Now, next up is Mira, and guys, I'm just not a huge fan of this character. I don't think that her and Aquaman have really any chemistry. I don't particularly like Amber Heard even before like everything happened, like weird court stuff and everything. I don't know, but she looks the part. She looks just like Mira, like in comic wise, looks great. But you know, when it comes to doing things, I don't know. For me, she's just not hitting. So I'm gonna be D tier for her. And that brings us to Billy Batson's Shazam, and I'm probably gonna put him way higher than most people would, but I'm gonna put this character up in that S tier. I think that it's great. I think that Zachary Levi does a fantastic job of playing a kid who has been given all these abilities, while, you know, not playing it dumb. Like he's playing he's like a kid, right? But you know, not like stupid, which I think is nice. It's got a lot of cool powers, and you know, I like magic Superman pretty much. So yeah, I'm putting him in S tier. So then we're gonna talk about the Marvel family, right? Captain Marvel's well, I don't know, Shazam's family. It's so weird, all that name stuff. But so Shazam's family, right? So we got Freddy first up. Now Freddy, I like him as a character when he's out of the costume. He's the most developed, really, out of all of the other kids. I'm gonna put him in A tier. I think that he gets a lot of development. I think he's a lot of fun as like that kind of like, oh, this is like this explaining the rules stuff, and it's cool that then he gets to also have powers. That one's probably way higher than most people put it, but I really like the first Shazam movie, and I'm fingers crossed, really, really tight that this next one I'm gonna enjoy too. Then we got Darla. She's the cute little girl. I'm gonna put her in B tier because I think she's funny. For Mary, I'm gonna put her in C tier because I mean they don't give her a ton to do. She's not funny like Darla is, so yeah, it's nothing bad. C's not bad. For Eugene, it's gonna be really similar. For Mary, like he's fine, everything. It's gonna be C tier, and then Pedro is gonna be the same as well, C tier as well. Then we get into Birds of Prey, or what was the title for this movie? That's right, the Birds of Prey movie was first called Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, which is an awful title for a movie. It's so long. So anyway, with them, now we have Huntress. So I like the character of the Huntress, and I think that she's played fine, but again, everything from this movie just kind of is either, for me, either really kind of middle of the road or bad. Luckily, most of the cast walks away just kind of being middle of the road. But so Huntress, I'm going to put in C tier. For Black Canary, though, I don't know. I really think there wasn't much for me there either. So she's going to be in D tier. For Renee Montoya, though, I do like this character quite a bit. I think she's played well, enough at least, to be in that C tier. And then Cassandra Cain, though, way different than the comic books. I know it shouldn't matter, but it just feels weird to me to have this be Cassandra Cain. So it's going to be D tier. So now we are away from Birds of Prey and we're into the Suicide Squad. What a weird extended universe where we have two Suicide Squad movies. So first up, we have Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, the good version of Deadshot from the first one. Like the exact same character, really, on paper at least. He's still got the estranged daughter that he's trying to, you know, kind of win over and everything. But I just really, really like him a lot more. He's got, you know, the whole rat thing where he's afraid of rats and he's having to deal with that the whole movie. He's just growing, like, as a person, like wanting to actually do the good thing that isn't just like shoot the monster, right? He's got a chance to get away. It's not like in the original one where it's like, if we don't stop her, then like the whole world's gonna die. Like, obviously you got to do something there. Whereas like here's like, we could walk away from this whole thing. In fact, they're telling us to walk away from it. But instead, you know, because goes and does the right thing. Love it. So yeah, he's going into A tier. Peacemaker. I would not have thought when I first saw John Cena in this costume and everything that I would love the character of Peacemaker as much as I do. He gets the most screen time out of any of these characters when it comes to development, since he has his own show, right? And because of that, I think it works. I really like James Gunn, though. Like, his humor and everything hits for me. And so the Peacemaker show hits for me in a good way. I'm going to put him in S tier. That one really feels like something some people aren't going to like. I really like that he is a bad guy and actually bad in, you know, the Suicide Squad. He betrays them and everything. And then they use that. They don't just like, it doesn't just get like swept under the rug. It gets developed. And that development works for me. And so I'm going to put him in my S tier. King Shark. Everybody's got to have a Groot, right? And so King Shark is the Groot, voiced by Sylvester Stallone. And I like him. B tier. Polka-Dot Man, I also enjoy a ton. Kind of like more of like a joke character, right? Like obviously he's got some like emotional points that hit pretty hard. But you know, it's all really kind of leading up to these jokes of like him seeing his mom everywhere. And it pays off. And then as soon as it's paid off, it's like, okay, now his character can go away because he's had the growth that he needs. And I was sad to see him go. I did like him and I wanted to stick around, but I think we'll keep him in B tier just to be fair. Ratcatcher 2, really the heart and soul of the movie. She's great, like really great. Like it's one of those performances where it's like, man, she's doing a lot and I am liking it. For me, she's an easy A tier. And now we're going to get into some low ones because there's a bunch of people that just kind of are awful and die in that movie. We'll start off with Savant. That's an F tier character. He's boring. He's a coward. I mean, to be fair, I would be just as scared as he was, so I can't fault him too much there, but he is kind of boring. And he kills that little bird. F tier. Then we got Blackguard, another person who just betrays people, but he's stupid and when he betrays people, and so he doesn't get to stick around and get any kind of development because he's dead. He's another F tier for me. And I would like to think he was F tier even if it wasn't played by Pete Davidson, okay? TDK, the detachable kid, played by Nathan Fillion. Man, I want to put him higher, but I feel like it would just be because it was getting played by Nathan Fillion. But I think he probably needs to stay down there in that F tier. Then we got Javelin. Kind of like puts some things in place story-wise. Really, he's just making, you know, inappropriate jokes the whole like the time that he's alive. But at least he's got like a little bit of chemistry and everything with Harley. I think that'll take him up out of F tier to the D tier. I see this being one that makes some people angry. Mongal. It's funny that like it's the girl Mongol and she's in the DCEU. It's just that like there's aliens and stuff. And she's in the Suicide Squad and then she just gets killed. So I don't know. I think that was pretty funny. That they're all like, yeah, she's here. It's a big deal. And then, but no, she's dead. That opening of that movie is very funny. And then the last one from the Suicide Squad is going to be Weasel. I'm going to put Weasel in F tier. He's gross. He like murdered and ate a bunch of kids. So, you know, he's good for a laugh. But I'm not really interested in seeing more Weasel, though he is one of the few characters kind of carrying over. So maybe he'll grow on me. Maybe. Now we're going to jump to the Zack Snyder version of the Justice League to look at Martian Manhunter. Great character. If you've ever watched any of like the Justice League cartoons and everything, I think that there was a lot of potential here that unfortunately just never really gets realized. I'm going to put him in C tier. Any lower than that would be unfair. But I can't go higher because he doesn't do anything. He like shows up and talks to Lois Lane and then shows up and talks to Batman. Now he does end up being a character that we already knew, which is kind of fun. But you know, it's just C tier. And finally we are to, you know, the disruption to the power hierarchy in the DC universe, Black Adam. So, about Black Adam. I think that Dwayne Johnson shot himself in the foot when it comes to overhyping this movie. If I hadn't heard so much, I probably wouldn't have expected so much, and I would have thought he was better, right? Black Adam as a character in this, he's a C tier. There was potential, again, but I don't know. Why don't you just have him fight Shazam, man? Why don't you just, like, have him be where he's supposed to be, man? Black Adam was not the only hero in his movie. We also had Hawkman. Justice Society's there. Hawkman is there. Man, what a moral compass this dude is. I was very surprised with how much I actually end up liking this character in the movie. I think that, you know, he goes toe-to-toe with Black Adam pretty well. Like, they fight, and I mean, you could argue that like Black Adam could kill him, but he didn't. He gets some emotional stuff to work off of too. I'm gonna put him in B tier. Then we have Dr. Fate, who played by Pierce Brosnan. Man, I love me some Pierce Brosnan, and I love me some Dr. Fate in this movie. He's looking so good in that suit. He's looking so cool, and the helmet is just iconic. I'm gonna put him in A tier because he really does a good job of kind of making it feel like, you know, they've been around for a long time, and that there's just like this long history that we don't know, but it's there, and it really kind of adds to just the world as a whole. It would have been nice to kind of have him show up earlier in some of those earlier movies, because I think that could have been awesome. But with just the one movie that he's in, A tier is where I'm going to be sticking him. I have no negatives for him. There's nothing to push him up to S tier, but there's nothing for me to drag him down at all. Then we have Atom Smasher. I know that my opinion on Atom Smasher is not the popular one. I really liked Atom Smasher. I think that the character was portrayed naive enough, but he understands his powers. He smacks Black Adam around there at the beginning of the movie better than anybody else could. And so I'm going to be putting him in that B tier. And then finally closing it out with Cyclone. I don't know, she doesn't have a ton to do. Not like really any character that's like, what's your powers? Yeah, and she wasn't as funny, right, as Atom Smasher was for me. And so that's where she'll get knocked down just a little bit more to that C tier. But again, it's kind of like middle of the road. It's whatever. C tier, you got room to grow or go down, depending on how your movies play out. And so that is it. That is my DCEU hero ranking.
Hey, editing Seth here. I totally realized that I probably should have put Vigilante on the list, or I wanted to put Vigilante on the list from the Peacemaker TV show. I think that he's messed up in the head. Extremely funny. One of the best parts of the show. I want to put him in B tier. There we go. B tier. Okay, that's really the end now. All right.
Let me know, how wrong am I? Which one is the worst take? Which one's the best take? I'd love to hear that too. Thank you so much to everybody who's subscribed lately. It's just super cool to know that there's people watching the videos and commenting on them and talking on them. At least all the comments over on that Scream video. Well, most of the comments on the Scream video, not all of them. It's cool to be able to disagree with people and be able to just kind of talk about that and hear what you think. And so hopefully we can have that same kind of conversation under this one too. All right, you make sure and take care. We will see you next time when we'll be doing, you know, some more ranking. Bye.